Dan, you and I have had a lot of conversations about what it means to be a servant leader. And it's a term that's been around for a long time. And I've actually seen people saying that it doesn't work today's world. I know you don't agree with that viewpoint. And for you, it's more important than ever. So do you want to expand on that a little bit for others?
Yeah, servant leadership is actually in concept been around for more than 50 years. And over time, there's been many different interpretations of it. The way I look at it, it really boils down to being focused as a leader on the growth and the empowerment of others, putting others first, the success of team ahead of your own personal ego. And it's moving from command control mindset into empowerment of team success, and team growth, which really drives from an assumption that we're not ever at a place where we're absolutely the best we can ever be. There's always a continuous learning, continuous improvement opportunity. And so if you start with that humility and knowing that you can always improve and get better through learning, through making mistakes. That's right. We're not going to be perfect. Teams aren't going to be perfect, but we apply the learning from those mistakes. And that's the key to drive continuous improvement. And there's been a narrative from leaders that have the other point of view that believe that command control is a sign of strength, that command control drives greater accountability in their teams. And actually, nothing could be farther from the truth, because when you think about what is often called helicopter management, micromanagement, command control, that actually is driving less accountability of your team members, because they reach a point of just throwing their hands up, sitting back and saying, you know what? Probably doesn't even matter anything that I proactively do. I'll let my leader come in, because they're going to want to come in, take over, wait for my command in terms of what they are asking me or telling me to do. And that actually drives less accountability than being empowered through servant leadership with the trust and the support to allow them to be able to forge the path forward towards a mutually agreed upon goal. So we've really started to see some recognition of the value of servant leadership, not just in concept, but through actual research. Stacey, there's been a number of studies that have looked at everything from revenue performance to employee engagement to talent acquisition to customer satisfaction. And all of those studies show a compelling advantage for companies that have committed to a servant leader philosophy versus those that haven't. Pre-tax returns in the S&P 500 that average about 2x from the non-servant leadership companies, as much as 20% higher employee engagement, which we know is a critical factor in retaining top talent, 20 to 30% improvement in hiring quality candidates versus the non-servant leadership. And then from a customer perspective, net promoter scores that are 15 to 20 points higher than non-servant leader companies. So it's the right thing to do, especially as Gen Z, which is going to be 1/3 or more of our workforce by 2025, is coming in with a whole set of expectations that's very different than previous generations. What they expect is path to grow inside of an organization, connected and empowering sorts of leaders that really engage and listen and ask the right questions and really seek to understand and how to really optimize their path. And if you're not prepared as a leader through a servant leader mindset to really support and enable those Gen Z workers to flourish, you're not going to be able to retain talent, because they've shown over the last few years they will vote with their feet. They will move on if you're not providing that right kind of environment. So for all those reasons, now's the time for effective servant leadership.
You make the perfect case And I will just add a little bit to it from my own perspective. But sometimes when people hear the word servant, it means debasing themselves, that the people that you're managing get to have more say than you do. And that is not what servant leadership is about. It's I'm going to start with this. When you say command control, what I envision are buttons being pushed. And if you think about it that way, that's such an interesting metaphor. Because first off, people don't have physical buttons. They're human beings, and each human being has a different set of experiences they're coming in with. No one person is like another person, but they do have triggers that can be pushed. And we don't want to be triggering people because that puts them in a situation where they're not able to be effective. What we do want to do is create leaders, not followers, to put into place a set of, we'll say, expectations and agreements that each human being can find their way to achieve. And recognizing all the different learning styles that people come with, that people don't just learn one particular way. Each person must be able to learn in their way if we want them to perform the best. And so, as you said, companies that are recognizing these principles are achieving their goals because they're utilizing the human beings that are working towards their goal fully versus organizations that still treat people like robots.